this message is only for those who have the ability to hear. Take that as you will. Now, this is a very layered message, and I'm going to go through many different layers during the course of this message. I'm going to begin by saying this. I had a dream, and in this dream, someone was telling their life story, their life journey, and they were saying something along the lines of this. They could have gone different ways, different pathways, but they said this: the universe will not allow you to build anything in a backward state and out of your authenticity. Now, in my conscious reality, I have a thing where I say, whenever you're out of your authenticity, in any and every shape form, that is you walking in the wrong direction. So that's how I would interpret the statement backward states, right, in my conscious reality. But I would also interpret the statement backward state as in regressing and going back to bad habits. Habits can mean your thought patterns, your relationships, your choices, your decisions, right? Here's the thing: anything which isn't for your highest, greatest well-being, therefore belongs in your past, cannot come with you into your future. Whatever you're growing or building or just being an experience in life, if you are to progress forward on a solid foundation that's meant for you in your alignment, in your path, for your highest, greatest well-being, anything from your past that isn't aligned with that cannot come into your future. And let me say this as well. We live in a world where some people say, why do bad people prosper or do well? Why they turn bad, as in they mean morality, as in people to consider evil. But here's the thing: it's identity. When you identify as something, and therefore you believe you are that thing, you know you're that thing, your thoughts match your actions match your words, you're aligned in this identity, that is who you are. Whether that's an evil person, that becomes your truth, that becomes your authenticity. That's why you can progress and prosper on that path. Obviously, everything comes to an end, but the reason those people can prosper because that is who they are. They may not have been born that way, and that identity may be covered in fears and egos and illusion, but that is who they think they are. Therefore, that's their authenticity. Now, this is a paradigm shift I'm going to give to right now. When someone thinks and believes and lives as though they are something, that becomes their identity. That becomes who they are, because that is fundamentally who they know and think that they are. That is why they can live in that way. Now, someone else who isn't in that state of mind, who knows that they aren't aligned with that way of being and living, try and live like that, it will crumble. Because you know fundamentally, consciously and subconsciously, that that's not who you are. Right? You don't think you are that way. You don't believe you're that way. Therefore, when you try and act in that way that isn't aligned with your authenticity, whether it's evil in your definition, it will not work because you don't actually believe you're that person. Someone who believes and acts in an evil way, who identifies, that's their identity. That's why it works for them. They identify as that. That's all they know now. If you don't identify as that and you want to believe in that way, it's going to crumble. Because that's actually who you know you aren't. There's a difference. You see, identity. That's what it is. Why this is a paradigm shift. Meaning when you live in a certain identity and you believe and think and know that's who you are, that becomes your authentic truth. It sounds kind of interesting because it may be built on illusion. That's not real. But that's who you think and know you are. Therefore, that's your identity. That now becomes your authentic truth. And that's why you can think you're actually doing well, even though you may not be doing well in truth. But the illusion of this reality is out of the room where you can do things, because that's become your identity. If you don't identify something, if you aren't something, and you try and live in that way, and know on a foundational base that you aren't that thing, that person, it will not work for you. So why do evil people prosper? Because that's their identity, right? That's their nature. That is their nature. If that isn't your nature and you try and do what they're doing, it won't work for you. See the difference? It's a nature thing. It's an identity thing. It's not natural to you. It's natural to them. There's a difference, right? It's what comes to your nature when you live and identify as something, and you fundamentally think every cell in your body believes that that's what you are. Therefore, you can do things in that way. But someone whose cells, right, whose mindset so hard doesn't actually believe that thing, try and live in that way will not work. And you can apply this to any kind of identity you want to apply to. That which isn't your true nature. If you try and live in a way that isn't your true nature, it will crumble. Eventually it will crumble. It will not work because it's not sustainable. It cannot be sustained, right? And also in regards to anyone building or growing anything, whatever that is for you, right, you have to be aligned and be in your authenticity. Because if you aren't aligned, if you aren't your authenticity, the foundation is rocky. The foundation won't last. It will not work. When you're out of your nature, things aren't solid. Things will not work. It's not sustainable, right? It's not sustainable. I'm also going to say this as well for those who have the ability to hear. Pay attention to your dreams, because your dreams truly will give a message that you need to hear, right? That's very important. Let me say this as well. When you're built a certain way, right, anything inauthentic isn't even tempting. In fact, it becomes consequential. That's the truth. Some people are just built that way. Or you can be authentic, because if you try and be away from your authenticity, life it won't even be life, right? So there's the thing. You have to be in your own nature. For those who have the ability to hear, you have to be in your own nature and be in your authenticity and be in your alignment. If you are to live a life truly worth living, it's essential to your human experience, and it's essential to anything you're aiming to build and create. Your authenticity is the foundation, because anything out of your authenticity will crumble. It will not work. It will not be sustainable, right? And that's the real message I'm going to decipher from the dream and just my awareness, my conscious awareness, everything that I've just mentioned. Be in your authenticity. Be in your own nature. Be in your alignment. Have a great day.